Peace, family. It's good to be back. Now let's get to work. Today's video is entitled The Death of the College Degree. Now, this video was not meant to insult anyone who may have put in the hard work and paid the financial price and put in the time in order to go and obtain a degree. If you have a degree, we applaud you, and we hope and pray that you maximize the use of that degree to the benefit of yourself, your family, and most importantly, your community. But the reality that we live in today is that the value of a college degree is on the decline, and we must do our due diligence at warning the next generation that getting a degree is not everything. First of all, let's establish this. Having a degree and having an education are not the same thing. Just as not all worship of God takes place in the church, not all education takes place in the classroom. I know many men and women, past and present, who were highly intelligent, did not have a degree, but were extremely educated. Malcolm X, extremely educated, no degrees. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, extremely educated, no degrees. And the list goes on and on and on and on. But the point that we want to make today is we have to disturb the hustle of the educational system in America that leaves its graduates drowning in debt, and at the same time pushes them out into a workforce where they remain either unemployed or underemployed. Now, right now in America, the student loan debt lingers at right around $1.3 trillion. There are more people in student loan debt in America than they are in credit card debt and auto loan debt. These debts are given to these students with interest attached to the debts that leave them indebted and enslaved, to these debts for decades. So without even getting into the student loan hustle that the government has going on, because it's just another way to keep you tied to government, or as they say in the conservative community, big government. And the more you're indebted to them, the more control that they have over you. So they say that $100 billion in student loan debt is created every single year. And that out of all the households in America, there's an average of about $10,000 per household in student loan debt. But we keep telling our children that college is the only way to success, but the educational system in America keeps proving to us that that is not so. Now, Minister Farrakhan teaches us a very valuable lesson. He says that he who controls the diameter of your thinking also controls the circumference of your activity. If you control his mind, you control his moves. Carter G. Woodson, in his great book, The Miseducation of the Negro, said it a little differently, but just as plainly when he said that if you train a man that his place is to enter through the back door, he says that even if you send him to a house that doesn't have a back door, he will carve one out for himself, because that is simply the way that he is trained. So understand that there are two educational systems in America. There's an educational system for the rich, and there's an educational system for the masses of the people. The rich are being educated to be CEOs. They're educated to go out and be owners and open up businesses, while the masses are educated to be good, quote unquote, employees. especially if you're black and if you're brown and if you're a poor white in this country, a college degree may not do for you what you think it will. As a matter of fact, I would venture to say that in most cases, it will not. So I read an article that states that in 1970, it costs about $2,600 a year or per semester to attend Harvard University. This is one of the more prestigious schools in America. Now in 2017, it costs about $65,000 a year to attend the same school. So just in a 40-something year span, look at the jump, $2,600 a year to $65,000, $70,000 a year to attend the school. And tuition is steady rising with these colleges. Now, as tuition is rising, the value of the degree that you receive from these educational institutions is steady getting weaker and weaker and weaker. What do you have in the end? Unfortunately, it's like buying a car off of a used car lot. When you drive it off the lot, or even if it's a new car lot, when you drive it off the lot, it has already decreased in value, and what you paid for the car, it's not worth that anymore. Brothers and sisters, I'm here to declare to you that that is what a college degree in America amounts to today. You may not like it, but it is the truth. So now, inflation is steady rising. And you would think that even if you're going to jack the price up of a college degree, that it would rise at the same rate of inflation. Do your research. A college degree is rising at 6% faster than inflation itself. So I was thinking to myself, why do they keep jacking the price up of college tuition? Yes, it's because of greed, but even more so than that, people are getting hip to the fact that these degrees are not worth the money that their parents are paying for the degrees, not worth the debt that they're finding themselves in once they obtain the degree. So they're exercising other options. So they have to raise the price in order to compensate for the decline in enrollment, so that these college presidents and these college coaches can continue to rake in the dough, so that these contractors who do work for these colleges can continue to be paid. They'll continue to jack up the price and literally price gouge the American people for a college degree that they can't use. Now, they criticize countries like Cuba. But in Cuba, you go and you get a 4-year degree and it costs you nothing. What kind of country do we live in? Where if you don't have enough money, you cannot continue your education after high school. What kind of country do we live in? Where the furtherance of your education is dependent upon how deep the pockets of your parents are, and not how deep your thought process is as an individual. But the game is just about over, and it's time for us to do our due diligence and warn our people. I think it's clear that college is not for everybody, but I'm going to go a step further, and I know I'm going to take some heat for saying this. But unfortunately, I think it's becoming just as clear that high school isn't either. Yes, right, I said it. Why do you say that, Brother Derek? I say that because in inner cities like America, the dropout rate is almost at 50%. These young brothers and sisters are dropping out of high school and they're not going back. So if they're dropping out and they're not going back, And we're going to their homes and knocking on their doors and trying to persuade them to go back into high school, but it's not working. Either we can throw them to the wolves and they end up as a 16, 7-year-old on their way to prison for some crime that they've committed, because the criminal justice system, they want them young now. Or we can begin to set up institutions that even serve those who have decided I can't make it through high school. This is the way that I believe we should be advising our children. Am I encouraging young people to drop out of high school? Hell no. Hell no. I have children myself, and I'm on top of them about making good grades in school, even though I know that no report card really determines how smart or how intelligent my child is. I demand that my children make A's and B's because I don't want them to get used to losing at nothing. Anything that you do, you have to be the best at it. But if your child brings home a C or a D, it doesn't necessarily mean that your child is dumb. It means that your child failed to remember and mentally retain those things that was taught to that child in their high school or that college course. And you have to remember that we're not the ones who developed the curriculum. You have to remember that for 300 plus years, it was against the law for us to even know how to read. You have to remember that the textbook that they put in our children's hands are not textbooks that are written by our people. They're textbooks that's written by them. And if the law of the universe is correct when it says that a person that will not treat you right will not teach you right, and you look at the way white people treat black and brown people in this country, then our children are not being taught right in this educational system. So your report card does not determine whether or not my child is intelligent. It doesn't determine whether or not my child can make it in life. But we must demand excellence from our children in all things. But I have a little nephew, probably the smartest 16, 17-year-old that you ever meet in your life. I'm talking about brilliant and intelligent, but the high school that he attends just can't hold his attention. He's distracted by girls, distracted by peers, and he goes to school and he just won't do his work. So his mother called me and she told me that she was going to let him go and get his GED. I couldn't argue with her, because when I asked him what it is that he wanted to do in life, what he wants to do in life, it doesn't require a high school diploma. And let's just be honest. If you go and you get a GED, you can pretty much do the same thing with a GED that you can do with a high school diploma. Again, I'm not encouraging anybody to drop out of high school, but if our young boys are deciding that they're not going back at the 10th grade and there's nothing that we can do in order to put them back in school, then we need to build trade centers in our community where they can go and learn how to do something with their hands. Why? Because education does not stop in America's traditional form of an educational system. And just because they drop out of high school or college or whatever, it doesn't mean that they can't make it. There are several examples of just the opposite. As a matter of fact, probably the majority of your millionaires and billionaires didn't even finish college. Back to my point, the death of the college degree. I'm saying this, but I have a child who's in college. Sounds hypocritical, doesn't it? Those exorbitant tuition prices that I talked about, I'm paying right now. Sounds hypocritical, doesn't it? No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm not telling people that they shouldn't go to college, but I'm saying that you must already have in your mind and in your heart what you want to do with your life. It starts right there. And if the direction that you want to go in requires you to have a college education, then you need to go and get it. For instance, if you say you want to be an accountant, and in order for you to practice accounting in the state of Texas or whatever state you live in, then you should go and get a finance degree. Why? Because it's the logical thing to do as it relates to where you want to go. My daughter wants to be an attorney. If she wants to be a practicing attorney licensed in the state of Texas, she has to get a college degree. So that's why she's in school. Why? Because she's already seeing beyond the 4-year degree. But if you're going to school just because your mama told you to, if you're going to school just because somebody in your family told you that if you go to college, you'll be the first to graduate college in our family ever, that's an honorable accomplishment. But if you get a degree that you can't use, then you might end up working for the family member who did not go to college, but has his or her own business. So the object of education is not to put into the child that which will help the child to survive and succeed. The true goal of education is to bring out of the child what the Creator has already put in the child. See, there's greatness already in the child. And what a proper education does is it draws that greatness out. If the educational system that we're involved with is not doing that, then we got to do something different. So if the system that we're involved in and we're sending our children to every day is a system that has been created by white America, our former slave masters, then understand that if that is the only education that you have, it is designed to keep you subservient to them. The goal is for you to go to school, get a degree, and go to their children to try to get a job. That's not going to cut it. So there has to be what is called a paradigm shift in education. If a young person comes to you and tells you that they don't want to go to college, it's time out for us shaming them because they've decided that that's not the direction that they want to go in. If he decides that he wants to be a welder and own his own business at some point, as soon as you can, you get him into a welding school. I don't care if he's in high school. During the summertime, you send him to a welding school, or you send him to a place where welding is practiced so that he can learn that. It's all about knowing where you're going. If you say you want to play professional sports, and there's nothing wrong with that, and you need to play on a college level to do that, I understand. Go to college then, if it serves the purpose of where you're going. But if it's not serving the purpose of where you're going, don't waste your money and don't waste your time. So during the last presidential election, Miss Hillary Clinton talked about the value of the college degree. Now, this is Hillary Clinton talking. And she said around 2019, 2020, the value of a college degree in the marketplace is going to be less than the value of someone who knows computer coding. This is the wave. This is the future. So if you know how to code and never step foot on a college campus in your life, but you have a business degree, let's say from pick and choose a university, I don't know, then you are more likely to be able to get a job in the year 2020. Hillary Clinton, you know, some of you believe that her word is more valuable than someone. Hillary Clinton said it herself. So To my brothers and sisters who are going into colleges and universities, I encourage you to major in something where you're going to see a return on your investment. If you go in and you major in African American studies, don't get me wrong, that's honorable. But if you pay $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 for an African American studies degree, for the most part, you will end up with a job in academia, aka again, a job in academia, because there's only so much you can do with a degree like that. If you got a degree like that, I am not knocking it. And if you're a professor in the university with a degree like that, I applaud you. But we have to dig deeper into the sciences. Engineering degrees will always be at a premium from what I understand. These math degrees, let's go after that. Nation building degrees that you can use, and you want to get a degree that ultimately you can use to open up a business that you own, because that's the wave. In America, if you black or if you brown, one or two things are happening. Either you own or you gonna be owned. One of the two. So the value of the college degree is declining. The reality is that a bachelor's degree is the new high school diploma. A master's degree is the new bachelor's degree. And the PhD, which is great if you go to school and you get a PhD, if you get started in academia, you may as well go all the way. That amounts to probably what a master's degree amounted to maybe 20 years ago. The prices is going up, but the value of the degrees are going down. So brothers and sisters, we have some decisions to make as it relates to how we advise our children as it relates to education. Remember, he who controls the diameter of your thinking controls the circumference of your activity. And if all you have is traditional education, and you're not educating yourself on the knowledge of yourself, you are uneducated and miseducated, because white people, white America will never craft an education out for you that will give you power over them. He who controls the diameter of your thinking controls the circumference of your activity. So let's take control of the educational process in our community, and let's move forward with strength to create a future for ourselves. Peace.